to accommodate our skill infrastructure very effectively. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So another thing that is very welcome in PMKVY 4 is that now we are looking at higher level courses. Up till now, mostly through ITIs, we were focusing on NSQF level courses up to NSQF level 4. But now, since we are talking of NSQF level 5 and above also, through bringing other institutions, it is really going to be very helpful. But we need to develop alternative pathways. And when we are integrating skill and education, we also need to take relook at the pathways, career pathways. And so if we start a student from 10th, and if we give them 2 years of higher education, they get an admission into UG course automatically. But if we give a student 2 years of ITI course, they don't get admission into UG automatically. They have to clear a language examination separately through the board. Now, with the skill and education being together, why can the ITI program of 2 year not be treated as a 10 plus diploma, and the student can be accommodated like they do in Polytechnic? 2 year diploma is considered equivalent to 12th, and then they get automatically in D2D. They get into UG. So similarly, if we have 10th, then 2 year ITI diploma, so we will have to upgrade this from certificate to diploma, and this becomes a 2 year diploma, and 2 year diploma they get an automatic entry D2D in the UG course. This develops a career pathway, a growth pathway for the ITI students. And if we do that, for example, we do 10 plus and then a diploma in computer applications, which has the equivalence of 10 plus 2 automatically, and then BCA. So DCA, BCA, and MCA, and a person becomes totally MCA qualified person, any other person in the market. So that's how we have to integrate the ITI system, so that with the education, so that it does not just remain a choice, but it becomes a very, very robust and sound career pathway for the students. And students start saying, no, I will prefer DCA to doing a normal 10 plus 2 course in any high school, because that is where I get skill. And 10 plus 2, I don't want to do because I don't get much skill there. This is the kind of thing we should be moving at, and that is the right step through PMKVY 4. We are moving ahead, and accreditation and affiliation is also being simplified, and it's all going through a portal, which will be a very unique, which is a very unique idea, which is a very good idea, and it will help users. OJT is very essential, and OJT may not be, see, again here we can have two things, is that we can have OJT and apprenticeship. So OJT, at least 10% number of hours should be minimum for OJT, because unless you get hands-on experience, you will not be able to move forward. You will not be able to get a knack of it. Plus, at the same time, if we integrate these courses with apprenticeship, then we need to, then we get much better benefits. We can automatically take them into the growth system. What Gujarat government has done this year to give, apprenticeship remains a very important area for us. And in this year's budget, we have announced that all the women apprentices will get rupees 1,000 more as stipend than their counterparts, to encourage women apprentices. And also we are giving them now transportation facility through bus pass, through the public transport pass, so that they can reach the place and they may not be required to spend on that part much. So we are encouraging apprenticeship in a big way. Industry 4.0, again, it remains a very important thing for the state. And we have taken up this scheme. They have taken up the task of setting up 5 mega ITIs in the state, where we will be bringing up most of the industry 4 and other advanced infrastructure into our ITIs to offer NSQF 4 and above courses, and integrating them with also teachers training and the assessors training, so that we are able to get the trainers also. I would say that future is very bright, and it's now all over skill, and we will together make the Honorable PM's vision realize, and states and center together will, from our side, we ensure that PMKVY we will we will facilitate, and we will collaborate through our schemes also with the initiative and scheme of Government of India to provide maximum benefit to the youth of the state, and also provide support and wherever required. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving very good actionable points and very good suggestion, and also sharing the best practices of Gujarat. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to Miss Anita Rajan, who is the Chief Executive Officer in Tata Stripe. So, Miss Rajan, I will request you to share your insight and share your thoughts.
Namaste and good afternoon to all the esteemed panelists and to the audience. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you today a unique model. One of the aspects of PMKVY is the importance of the participation of industry. And that is where I would like to focus my conversation with, and share with you an example of a very unique, innovative model that will leverage the deployment of PMKVY in Assam, in Guwahati, Assam, where we, in partnership with 4 key stakeholders, are actually creating a center of excellence in hospitality in Kamrup near Guwahati. Why Assam? Assam because the region of Northeast is driven by tourism and hospitality as an economic driver. Second, the youth of Northeast have a natural affinity for this sector. They come with many advantages. And third, because just the universe has brought together a very unique partnership. And the industry partnership, as we all know, brings in certain elements which one cannot bring in otherwise. One is quality of training, and our industry partner here is IHCL, or better known as the Taj Group. Apart from quality, the other aspect is relevance. Every 3-4 years, the industry is inventing itself. For example, in the tourism sector, 5 years ago, homestays was not spoken about. Today, it has become a very key aspect of hospitality. So these kind of changes, to adapt to it, an industry partner brings in a lot of relevance and is able to quickly adapt to the changing scenario. So in this model, there are 4 partners: Assam government, the Assam Tourism Development Corporation in particular, the MSDE through the PMKVY skill program, Tata Strive, which I represent, which is a national level skill development partner player, and the industry partner, which is the Taj Group, or IHCL. Why is it unique? It's unique because each of these entities bring in something very special to this program. So the Assam government has enabled a very beautiful center close to Guwahati in Kamrup. This center has the capacity for about 100 people residential facility, and over 300, at least a minimum of 300 people to be trained annually. Now this center, while the basic center has been given, Tata Strive along with Taj is creating some of the best infrastructure for hospitality, for spa courses, for commis chef, for housekeeping. All of these need labs. As Anju Sharma mentioned, in vocational training, you need expensive equipment. And the kind of labs that are being created here are on par with what you might find in a large hotel, because of our industry partner Taj, which evaluates, reviews, and check marks that this is good to go. and is also helping supplying with many of the infrastructure that is being.
Ma'am, Mrs. Rajan, sorry.
Yes, please.
Why didn't you say something on the PMKVY, your suggestions, please?
Yes, so that is what I'm coming to, sir, in this model. The PMKVY program, which is being implemented in this center, is bringing on a beautiful partnership of the industry, and the courses, the hospitality courses like the spa, housekeeping, commie chef, all of these which are going to be endorsed by the under the PMKVY certification will be provided to the students, and the access will be given to students of Assam as well as students of Northeast at a very subsidized manner because of PMKVY. The second thing that I would like to stress on is that the partnership, the unique partnership of the state and central government in deploying the PMKVY is a unique program because the mobilization is being supported by the Assam government, and students from entire Assam and Northeast will be able to avail this facility. The course content, which is again aligned to the PMKVY norms, will be continuously value added by industry. The faculty, the quality will be controlled of deployment in the PMKVY will be controlled because the industry partners will be evaluating the quality of the faculty. On-the-job training, which is an essential part of, again, the requirement of the PMKVY program, 100% of the students will be given on-the-job training because of the number of hotels that are coming up in the region. And they will be giving a month's exposure, some even more. And finally, the placements, which will be then tracked. One of the outcomes of PMKVY needs to be the tracking of the placements of students, how they are doing post the training. And these will be tracked for a year, even after they have been placed on a digital platform. The PMKVY also stresses on the use of digital technologies, and all the students will be digitally trained. The knowledge that they acquire through the program will be assessed on a digital platform. The practical sessions will be assessed by people from industry, thereby assuring the quality. And finally, the outcomes itself, the entire life cycle will be on the digital platform, thereby assuring that the outcomes are achieved. Another unique factor, and I'd like to wrap up with this, is that the overall governance, I think another important aspect in the PMKVY is the achievement of outcomes, and those need to be tracked. The overall governance of the program will be done along with all the four stakeholders, that is the Assam government, the MSTE, and the private industry partners, that is Tata Strive and Taj, will govern the outcomes and ensure that students get jobs, not just in India, but our ambition is to get the jobs of international quality to our students. I'd like to stop here and hand over to Dr. Trivedi.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for sharing your experience and the best practices, how the state government, central government, and the industry have come together and implementing the vision and objective of the PMKVY. This is a good model which can be replicated in other places, in other states as well. Thank you for giving such insights. Now we can move to next panelist, Mr. N.K. Rangnath. I will request Mr. Rangnath to share his views and give actionable and pragmatic suggestion that how we can make the scheme more effective, how we can simplify the implementation process, and how we can create a better ecosystem. Mr. Rangnath.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Let me first of all thank the Skills Ministry for inviting me here, the secretaries of the Skills Ministry, other experts, and the fellow panelists. We have come a long way from the time we started with the PMKVY. I see that we have discussed, we have learned a lot, we have dropped a few things, but there are still some way to go in terms of what are the areas of improvement that we need to look at. Some of them are systemic, some of them is created by our own, what do you call them, mindsets. But I would start with basically industry and then go to a few others, saying that where this can be used. The one important factor that the PM spoke this morning, education should be practical and industry oriented. And and he said one more thing in terms of rigor ka shikar ban gaya. Industry, I mean, education is the most regulated thing, and we need to loosen it up first. So let me just go to where we are in industry, because I represent the industry. And what is that? There's a lot of good things that have happened, but due to the shortage of time, I'll only focus on things to be improved, because that's what we need to do. What we have done well, we continue to do well. Basically, the issue comes when it comes to industry. From the industry point of view, there are a lot of jobs that there's a mismatch in skilling, but this has been continuously been bandied around for the last few years, and we've not had a kind of sit down and say this is what the industry needs in terms of education. And there are a few issues there. The issues that have come about when we have done this in the past, especially with the ITIs, with the other things, the ITIs that are run by the government are run like a government. There's not much that you can do. I was myself a chairman of a ITI. Very difficult to break in there and make the change in the pedagogy of what is there. And so we need to have a clear idea of how we are going to do that in terms of the PMKVY 4. We need to make the change in the way we teach our people. That includes the teachers that are training. That, of course, is connected to the resources that you have. And how can we sort of use technology to have the best resources, sort of look at everybody. But let me go to very specific points now. One thing that I've found is that there is a mindset against skills. People think that those that work behind a desk with a pen are regarded higher than those that work with their hands. So the starting with this mindset, and it's with the parents. You can't blame the people. So making skills aspirational for increasing participation is vital, and that we have to work with a large set of people. And one way of doing it is to ensure industry, from the industry side, some of us have done that people are paid for their skills and not just for their education. What is it that the outcome? Ultimately, you see from a point of view of any industry, the final stakeholders are the ones who buy the service or the goods and the person who makes it. The rest of us are all overheads. We are managers. So we have to bring in a certain amount of pride and self-esteem in that if you have to change the whole system. Otherwise, even today, they say, okay, sit behind the desk. Even if you earn a little lower than the workman, you have a better respect. That's one. The thing that I think Ms. Anju Sharma spoke about getting in Gujarat after 10, the +2. Our recommendation, at the cost of repeating myself, these recommendations I have given in the past, I'm going to again reiterate this: make vocational training in schools compulsory from class 7 and 8. The new education policy, I think, has some ways of doing it, because by then you know whether somebody has to have a degree or not. And if you're making skills aspirational and you skill them at class 7 and 8, by the time they come to 9 or 10, they can be really effective in life skills. Today we are learning by rote. Ask a person to go to a bank and write a check, they won't know. In the digital age, you don't have to. But we need to train people right from that age to how to have skills that will give them a livelihood, not just only a job, but a livelihood. So one more thing that we found at that point of time, a labor management information system. Information is all over the place, but we don't know where to get that. Too many portals, too many things to go. And every ministry, I think it is now converging. Every ministry had a skill development program. And many a time we would replicate the same program in the state, in the center, between ministries. So we need to see if we can have an information system for the entire management as to where the labor is, what training they have done, what could be done to improve. Then the industry participation in the skilling ecosystem. A lot has been said, a lot has been done. But we have to understand that most of the employment is created in the MSMEs. And the MSCs have an issue. They don't have the wherewithal to manage this program, whereas the large companies, PSUs, etc., they take a large number of apprentices, so they take a large, and they also have this learn value earn scheme, on the job trainings. But when it comes to MSMEs, we don't have an ecosystem that will help them. And somehow from the industry, we thought we should help the tier 2, tier 3 suppliers to us. But we need a kind of an ecosystem from at the policy level from the government. For instance, let me give small examples. Abroad, when you go to the West, kids, even rich kids, work in summer to get an idea of how it is to work for somebody. It could be in a restaurant, it could be in a shop. But here, if we try to bring children to work, we have the Child Labor Act, which will sort of finish you off, basically. So we need to make some changes. It is not employment we are giving, it is training on the job, even at the level of schools when they get to a certain stage. So they get two things will come out of this. You differentiate your time with the company's time or with the organization's time, and you differentiate your money with your father's and mother's money. It's a very important skill to have, a mindset to have, to ensure that we really have a very, very good workforce with self-esteem. So one of the other issues I found with MSME is that the system, I think, now is changing because you're going to do direct benefit transfer. They were finding it very difficult to claim the money when they were training. And mind you, they don't have enough bench strength. They don't have enough people, MSMEs. You have to hit the road running. So you have to start working from day one, and you have to be multi-skilled in MSMEs. Large companies, no problem. So if we have to get this down to a large scale, local level, where small companies are able to use this, we need to have some structural changes in the way we are doing and way we are handling. And since your secretaries are here, let me tell you one of the interviews I had with an MSME. He said, जब मैं लेता हूँ आदमी को, वो लेबर ऑफिसर मेरे पीछे आ जाता है, मुझे वो झंझट नहीं चाहिए. So, these are systemic issues. So we need to sort of see how we can protect or ring fence this apprentice scheme and the learn value earn scheme from all the labor laws that we have. We have many archaic labor laws, which we are also trying to change. That funding through these skill vouchers and direct benefit transfer will be a huge, huge game changer in this business. Because then the money comes. Sometimes the money takes a long time, but here the trainee himself gets it. So I think it's a great thing that this one will do. This PMKVY 4 will do. Then the other thing that we had spoken of is, can we create a radar for high demand industry job roles and impart skills accordingly? You've started it. The one product, one district program is a phenomenal program. I would add one more thing, one anchor industry, which is big in that district, and use them as a base to then impart to all the MSMEs around who are suppliers to that anchor industry. That will make a huge difference because that industry has the wherewithal to manage this whole ecosystem and then manage on part of their suppliers too. So this is one of the issues that we could. Then there's a lot of idle infrastructure. Whenever we had the schemes in the past, we started creating infrastructure for each scheme, offices, places to work, and places to train. There's a lot of idle infrastructure in engineering colleges, both owned by and the ITIs and the colleges owned by both the government and the private sector, and they're not running 24/7. Why can't we use this and use a kind of a PPP mode in and around the industry clusters, in and around large areas of where organizations are, to use this idle infrastructure rather than spend money? For me, my recommendation is that not more than 10% of your budget for any scheme should be building infrastructure like offices and salaries and things like that. Not more than. You use this to really effectively change what's on the ground. And let me come to one more issue. In the past, for all the right reasons, our KPIs were focused on the numbers. I think we should move. Just focus on the outcomes. How many people have got a job? Okay, 1.37 lakh people were trained and they are employable. How many were employed? What are the issues? So if we start changing the way we look at things and the way we measure purely on outcomes, I think it would make a huge difference because then everybody focuses on employment, and that puts a pressure both on the people who are implementing the scheme and the people who are using the scheme to make sure that there is employment. One of the issues that we have found in the past, we go and train youth in the rural areas to get employed in factories which are in urban areas. We don't pay them enough to come and work in urban areas. So they go back to their villages, even though they are trained, and they live on their land. So we need to make sure that some of these industries are moving to where they are. And which are the industries that can move? Agri. You have mentioned agri here. There are so many engineers who are sitting in their farms, not wanting to till the land, but are engineers, but don't want to come and work because they cannot afford to live in a city.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Ragnath, but if you can just expedite and wind up
Yeah,
your
I'll do that. So we also, last thing that a couple of things is, there should be an emphasis on behavior training, which are soft skills, which you have done. And apprenticeship, I think, should be a part of every course, a minimum 6 months, whether you're in engineering or whether you're in ITI or whether you're in arts. Some apprenticeship should become a part of the training of the course, so that you can have a sandwich course, which means then you're embedding this whole thing. Then a couple of things that I need to mention. NSQF, we had said that there is no what you call emphasis on employing NSQF qualified people in the industry. Unfortunately, there is no emphasis even in the government or the PSUs. Somehow, I think we should bring that in, saying that we can set an example. The government can start saying NSQF is required for hiring, and industry, I'm sure, will follow. So these are some of the issues that are there. And there are some other suggestions, but I can come to that later if we have the time. So if we can align all this, I think you will get a lot out of this, because this is some of the studies that we have done in the past. And there are many studies which I think you have access to. What we can do is, instead of reinventing the wheel, we can have a look at it and see what is applicable now. And I'm very happy that you're looking at skills which are more cognitive than just hand related skills, because that's what the new jobs would be created in the next 2 or 3 years. So I'll stop here. There are a few more, but if you have the time, I'll come back and talk about this.
Thank you, Mr. Rangnath, for giving a very valid and very meaningful insights, and particularly about how to make the skilling aspirational is very important. And it should not be seen that after the education, second to education, but it should be equally important as education is. So how to make the skilling aspirational is a big challenge, and which we are trying to address, and will definitely look into all the suggestion and recommendation you have given. Now we can go to our next panelist, Shri Vijay Singh Dahiya. So Dahiya साहब, आपसे अनुरोध है कि आप जो है अपने सुझाव हमें प्रस्तुत करें.
थैंक यू सर. सर्वप्रथम मैं आपका धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा that you have invited me as a panelist in this national of PMKVY 0.0, and I will not repeat what has already been given as way forward in Dr. Dwivedi's presentation, as well as also in the background note that has been supplied to us for PMKVY 4.0, because that is already on the and already on the agenda of PMKVY 4.0. I will give my only suggestions which somehow I find that they are either not mentioned, and which we feel that if they are included, they will be full. And some points, little very specific points. One is the saturation approach. Second is the entrepreneurship. Third is project approach. Fourth is visibility. These are the new points. Visibility and aspirations are interrelated, which Mr. Rangnath also said, but I will speak about visibility and aspiration in little different terms. So these are four new way forwards, specific way forwards, which is saturation, entrepreneurship, project approach, and visibility. And there are 2 points which are already listed in PMKVY 4.0, but I would elaborate them further and add new dimensions to it, which is cross-utilization of resources and convergence. Convergence, of course, we have been talking a lot about convergence and cross-utilization, but I will give some more dimensions to it. First is the saturation. At the outset, sir, when we talk about when we have given ourselves the target of Viksit Bharat, reaching the last mile by 2047, we have to actually see the numbers. And Viksit Bharat means that we have given a fullest opportunity to the people who deserve it and who require it. Basically, youth is the backbone of the country, and we should give them the complete opportunities for skilling in the sector that they require. This is what I call the saturation approach. Now, there are 4 components to the saturation approach. What I mean by these 4 components? The first is, sir, the horizontal saturation. We have around 30, 40 sector skill councils, 38 perhaps. And by my experience of having implemented skilling for quite some time in my state, I find that some of the sector skill councils, some of the job roles dominate, and there is a cycle of the students getting skilled in those particular job roles only, and some sector skill councils only, while some sector skills sectors don't find mention in demand as well as supply. And why is that so? For example, sir, the banking and this stock markets sector, gem and jewelry sector, somehow they are not taken up. So I have reflected and talked to the training partners
I
why
think
it's
there's
not
some
line
connectivity
partners.
issue.
And am I audible, sir?
यस विजय जी, व्हाट आई विल सजेस्ट दैट आपका थोड़ा सा वीडियो और वो ऑडियो थोड़ा डिस्टर्ब हो रहा है. आप वीडियो बंद कर दीजिए, ऑडियो ऑन रखिए तो शायद कनेक्टिविटी बेटर हो जाएगी.
Just give me 1 minute, sir. I'll change my Wi-Fi network to a. Is my voice better now, sir?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Now it is better. Unfortunately, it was a low bandwidth Wi-Fi. So I was talking about saturation, sir. At the horizontal level, we should have a saturation approach in the saturating all the horizontal sector skill councils, and give special projects, special RFPs for those particular sectors which have not been taken up by the students as well as the training partners. There should be large publicity and give such opportunities. Second is the saturation in the vertical model. Vertical, I mean that the areas which have greater potential for a certain traditional skill. For example, in Yamunanagar we have the textiles. In Firozabad there is a glass industry. So we should tap the numbers to the extent they are possible and increase the numbers. Third is the scale, sir. We should have the skilling being imparted to the numbers, to the students which actually require it. For example, sir, so far we have trained around 70,000 in 6 years in Haryana. But when we see the number of unemployed youth, we see that this number should be much, much higher. So this year, next financial year, we are targeting at least 2 lakh youth will be trained, because that is proportional to the numbers that is actually required. So third is the scale, sir. The fourth is the RPL as well as short-term skilling. Now, somehow recognition of prior learning, RPL component is not as much taken up as short-term skilling. So there has to be greater emphasis on the RPL also. So this was my first point, which is the saturation approach, and it can be a specific point, sir, when we talk about the way forward. Second is the entrepreneurship, sir. When we talk about skilling, we always say from skilling to placement. But the current, the education scenario and the current, I would say the current economic scenario, there is a lot of emphasis on the startups. There is a lot of emphasis on the entrepreneurship. There is a large chunk of engineers and from good colleges who do not like to go for employment. They want to go for entrepreneurship. So when we talk about convergence, now there has to be convergence from placement to self-employment also. And people who are getting skilled from our schemes, we should give them a different pathway also. That from placement, if they want to go for self-employment, if they want to go for entrepreneurship, we should give them an ecosystem where within a government operated incubator center, they can go, and where they have an idea, that idea will be tapped, that will be developed, and it will be sustained. Now, in those incubation centers, I'm happy to share, sir, that in our state, we are going to set up incubator centers in the state of Haryana. And we have kept a venture capital fund of rupees 200 crores to be given to the people and to the startups who deserve it. So this is a new initiative that we are taking in our Haryana budget. And these incubation centers will work as the innovation hubs. They will work as the startup ideation centers, and they will be giving complete services of entrepreneurship ecosystem. For example, access to credit, personality development, if they require further skilling, if they require upskilling, the counseling. So all these services will be given under one roof in the incubator centers. So I would say that from placement to entrepreneurship, that should also be a specific point and way forward in PMKVY 4.0. And in fact, sir, I'm happy to share that in our state, the name of the department itself has been changed from Skill Development and ITI to Department of Youth Affairs and Entrepreneurship. The third point, specific point, I would say, sir, that our approach is short-term skilling and RPL. But at the same time, we should also have project approach, projects of longer duration. And there are 2 points in project approach. First is the projects of longer duration, and second is the special projects which the state can come up from time to time. What I mean by projects of longer duration, this is interconnected to the point which I made earlier. For example, now we are implementing a drone project where drone technicians and drone operators will be trained over a period of 1 to 2 years. They will be given complete access to the credit. We are also integrating with the Ministry of Agriculture. They have a scheme. We will be having MOU with the banks, and we will encourage them to become drone entrepreneurs to give services to farmers at large. At the same time, we are giving RPL to the farmers also. And the project will go on for 1 or 2 years. And in the projects of longer duration, the training partners have a much greater stake because they also have the reputation involved. So the quality of the training, the competitive advantage that we talked in our earlier conference, that gets automatically actually elevated, and there's a greater stake of the training partners. Number one. The second kind of project approach can be that the states can come up with non-NSQF aligned training programs. There can be high-end fee courses, and the student will also give some of contribution. The state will also give, the center can give, and such projects can be submitted to the ministry on a rolling basis. I would say that, sir, for such projects, a special corpus can be kept in the PMKVY 4.0, and the states can approach the through NSDC or directly to the ministry, that they submit their project, they are assessed, and if they are found useful or suitable, then funds can be given to such projects. The fourth point, specific point, which I would like to highlight is visibility, which is connected to being aspirational, as Mr. Rangnath pointed out. The visibility and aspirational, they are actually abstract terms, and we cannot really quantify that how much it has become aspirational, how much it has become visible. But to get a sense of things, the district skill gap study, that is the starting point from where the skill demand actually rises. And from that point itself, the visibility has to be there. We should involve the youth clubs when the district skill gap study comes. We should involve gram panchayats. Why can't there be kind of instructions from the state government or relevant departments that this should be discussed in gram sabhas and gram panchayats? What kind of skilling that village requires? It should be discussed in the municipal or urban local bodies, and especially youth clubs. In fact, sir, I am very happy to share that in our state we are coming up with a scheme of Mukhyamantri Kaushal Mitra Fellowship Program, where we will identify youth clubs, which are active youth clubs. We will we will select volunteers from there. We will train them in our university, and they will act as kind of a local intern, which will connect to the panchayats, which will connect to the urban local bodies, and it will be a much better bottom-up approach of capturing the scaling, rather than a district skill gap, district skill coordinators, which somehow I think that they are sometimes not able to actually capture the ground reality. The fifth point is, sir, cross utilization of resources, as it is already mentioned. But the cross utilization will be done for the school, for the educational sector and ITIs, polytechnics, engineering colleges. But I would like to suggest one step further of involving the industry clusters also. Many industries across the country, and I know in my state that our ministry also has a different ministry of MSME. They have created clusters, and we have found out that they are not fully utilized. Similarly, some industries themselves have also made clusters of common utility centers, common tool rooms. They're also not utilized. So there has to be cross utilization of such resources also, and they have expensive machinery which can be utilized. The last point is convergence, developing the convergence approach. We are we are we are saying that we will have more skill education in schools and colleges, but we can go one step further and we can have skill schools themselves. I'm very happy to share that we are going to we are going to set up skill schools through our university, skill university. They will be affiliated to CBSE, and later on they will have a different pathway. They can go for further skilling in the university, or they can go for mainstream education. So the convergence approach is actually taken one step further from various center, state, district. That is one approach, but this convergence is also actually from school to college to university, and it is also part of the NEP. So these are some of the ideas which I had to specifically share. Thank you.
Thank you, Daya Sahab. You have given very innovative and very new ideas, and these will definitely will help us to fine tune our intervention in the skilling space. So thank you very much. Now we can go to Mr. Arvind Bali. Bali Sahab, I will request you to give your insight, particularly the 5G and the new emerging technologies, how the PMKVY will give an opportunity to the candidates and other stakeholders in respect of 5G and other new initiative in the telecom sector.
Namaskar, Awad, Sat Shri Akal. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Tiwari and Dr. Dwivedi, for giving me this opportunity to be part of this August panel. As far as I'm concerned, I've been seeing this scheme even when I was in the industry. 37 years in the industry, and now I'm back to this side. And I see that like any business, any industry, there is a process, you have to improve everything. So here also I'm seeing every new scheme, every additional thing has got improvements, and PMKVY 4 also has got all those great things which have been done. And sir, Tiwari sir, thank you to you as well as Dr. Dwivedi. I think your initiative, even before this budget, with the Department of Telecom, where we had these joint meetings, after that, there's such a big focus on skilling in all states. I've already attended 22 states meetings where Department of Telecom as well as Ministry of Skill, I think together we are working with each and every state for development of new. And then I think we'll be covering all these other states also within next week or 10 days time. So what we have found that the big focus, even Prime Minister Modi in his speech has mentioned that 5G is such a great focus. So definitely some new approach, some new thinking which is required. And on that also a lot of work is happening. I'd like to mention here, sir, I think one and a half year back, your ministry only suggested us that, we should look at ITIs basically for all our high-end jobs. With this in mind, we have started big engagement with ITIs. And what we have found that all this electrical, mechanical stream youth which is coming from ITIs, if we just give them latest 5G courses or telecom courses, I think they are the most ready youth we have got, which can not only get much better jobs, and also they get the best, much better career progression. With the same initiative, as discussed in our last meeting, again under the same scheme, what we are doing is we are setting up 5 big center of excellences, and also 50 labs in ITIs, which are around 5G, IoT, machine learning, and Industry 4.0. So that is happening. I'm very happy to share with you that as far as our industry is coming, they are coming forward with all possible support that, skill ecosystem should be taken further up. As you know that as far as telecom is concerned, we had most of the companies, they have been doing very high-end trainings with their own resources. But now, we are competing with basically all other industries also. So we want that youth should understand that if they actually work in telecom, in long term time, they will not only get much better career, they will also be taken as high end engineers or technicians with their credit framework and all that. Not only that, but we are also finding that all these things are possible, these things are doable only with all the courses which these companies have got at their end. Those courses are also being adopted under NCBT's NSQF alignment. We are doing that. So that is also going to bring a big change. While on the subject, I think I'd also like to say that as far as 5G is concerned, it's such a big focus that we have already got 5 CSR mandates from Ericsson, Nokia, Vodafone, many other companies. Like they have given us mandate of 2.5 crore each, where we are setting up integrated lab of 5G, IoT, drones, machine learning, and I'm very happy to say that, Dr. Anju Sharma is here, is a panelist. With them also, we are setting up a lab in Kaushalya University, and all these labs will be operational within March of this year. So that is something which is a very good development. And also one of the panelists suggested that, it will be really good for all ITIs and other institutes if we can get some used equipment or old equipment. So we already have MOU with Ericsson and Nokia. They are willing to give us their rejected or damaged equipment, which can be placed in these ITIs, where student can touch and feel. Normally in telecom, nobody is allowed to go to near the live labs or live equipment. But here, like they can touch and feel all that. So while on the subject, sir, I think there's a very important point. While traditionally, all different skill councils, like they've got different kind of job roles. Even in telecom, we have got a different kind of job roles. But there are some job roles which need huge investment. And that is why, in the past, as Mr. Dhaya was saying, that those job roles are not preferred by training partners because they're not able to spend money on training, etc. So there, what we are doing, we are now getting CSR funds and we are putting up those labs. But then second part is that, like if for telecom kind of a job role, and there are some other job roles also, where, if we keep reducing this cost, common norms, in the process, quality of training will probably not be as good as used to be. I think there will be maybe a bit slight reduction. So my suggestion will be, I think we should maybe either go by course or otherwise, I think look at the common cost norms so that, we continue to give good training. So with these few words, I'll say that as far as 5G is concerned, I think country is doing such a great job. And I'm very happy to share with you. And Mr. Tiwari, you remember Dr. Rajaraman also mentioned that as far as 5G is concerned, we as India is using a lot of our own technology. And as far as 6G is concerned, by 2030, I think we'll be leading the world. We'll be not only using our own technology, we'll also be giving technology to the world. And if we really want to achieve that, I think skilling youth from today itself will be very important and very good. And all these initiatives like this today's panel, I think are efforts in that direction. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Bali Sahab. It's good to know that industries are coming forward and they are providing CSR fund for taking up skill training program for the youth. So this is a very welcome initiative, and I must appreciate that telecom companies are coming forward. And we assure you that from the ministry we'll work together and create a very vibrant ecosystem so that youth get opportunity for the training under 5G, which has a huge potential in future. So thank you very much. Now we have experts, domain experts from academia, government, and some other sector. So we'll go to our experts and we'll request them that they should ensure that their ideas, thoughts, and deliberations should not take more than 5 minutes because we are running late. So now Sri Karma Jimpa Bhutia, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Rural Development, has joined us as a domain expert. And so I will request Mr. Bhutia to share his thought and give some suggestion that how skilling system, particularly PMKVY 4, can be effectively implemented successfully in the field. Mr. Bhutia.
Good morning, sir. Probably I'm not visible right now. Yes. Sir, I would like to inform the esteemed panelists here that I'm in charge of the DDU GKY skilling component of rural Ministry of Rural Development. So it's like a sister concern of PMKVY only. So a few things here, sir. I think what we need to do is that when we talk about skilling, we are still talking in terms of lakhs. So there are, whenever we look at the figures of unemployment, it's in crores. And there are naysayers who say that why do we still have figures so low, in thousands and in lakhs. So we need to upscale the numbers, sir, first of all. I think we need big time publicity amongst the youth. There's much to do in this thing, sir. Like as in we have to an average unemployed youth probably would not be aware of many of the schemes of the government of India which offer skills for employment. This is for sure. And we have miles to go to actually drive down the point that there are several multiple skilling programs where people can be enrolled and trained and placed. So this is one of the first concerns, because we have to up the numbers, sir. And so for that thing, I think we need to be very aggressive on the mobilizing part of the numbers, actually. So that's where we start, sir. And so other one is that as a core skilling concern, what I see is that there is no proper data with respect to the actual requirement of skilling of the industries. There's nothing concretized as yet. We still don't know as to what is the actual requirement of the youth in various sectors and various job roles. So we need to have a very clear inventory as to what is the demand and the supply. That we have to be clear on that, sir. We still work on ad hocism. We still work on patches. We still work on जो मिले बच्चों को भेड़ की तरह पढ़ा दो. We still are on that. So we need to have a very standardized inventory about the requirement of the various industries. And one thing which Dr. Dwivedi sir said at the time of his presentation is that some work under international skill gap is going on. So I think we need to beef up that, actually, and we need to upscale in order to make skilling more aspirational. So my submission is that we need to really we really drive home that point of international skill gap, and really go ballistic about advertising in that, because under DDU GKY we have kind of sent 502 candidates in as many as 14 different countries. They are very poor people, and they are working with good salaries in some as high as 3 lakhs per annum as air hostess and all in the thing. So I think till if we sell our schemes to the extent that it attracts youth to the extent that is required, especially in terms of numbers. My question would be more in quantity, then followed by quality in terms of anything else, because we need to get them worked in place, sir. And the tracking part also, like many of the panelists, they have said that tracking part is poor. and we need to keep a very clear idea about tracking. I think in DDU-GKY we are trying to set call centers in all the states, SRLMs and SSDMs, so that they can track in their candidates. And I've had the opportunity of visiting few of the tracking centers. It works. And then we are also now on the verge of establishing a call center in Delhi itself, so that from here we can govern where the kids have gone. Because we as government sometimes draw flack for not being able to track our candidates, where they are, what they are doing, how much they are earning, what are their problems. And if you look at from the candidates' point of view, I think it's imperative for us to see where they are, how much they are doing, and that tantamounts to kind of a mentoring, sir. I think mentoring becomes a key part here, not just train and place, sir. And we have to mentor them, and we have to chase them for 2 years. So these are a few things, sir, and I think. And one more thing is that one discussion or webinar says that technology enables skilling in new age courses. This is there, sir. But I'm like a little bit wondering, how can the rural poor access this technology, sir? So we need to see the cost norming so that they are not excluded from this kind of technology, because adequate provisioning should be done so that no rural poor should be excluded from such good courses, sir. And regarding the assessment and certification, I think some work we still need to trudge in some miles, because all the assessment and awarding bodies are still not onboarded on SIP, Skill in the Portal. So I think we need to work on that part, sir. And yes, and lastly, I reiterate to the pivotal point which I've been trying to drive home, that we need to have a clear-cut understanding of the actual volume of requirement of the skilled workers in all the industries. This has to be, this we have to work on, so that PMKVY can actually now understand that this is the requirement and from XYZ sectors, and then we can then start training and imparting skills to the candidates, sir. So these are what my submissions are, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhutia Sahab, and you have raised very valid issue that first we should capture the demand, that this is our need for skilling, and accordingly this training and program can be formulated. So we are already in the process, and we are capturing this demand through district skill committees and through SSCs, through industries. So, but you have given very insightful understanding about the whole spectrum of the skilling. Demand, supply, and the implementation. You have also touched the international opportunities for our skilled workforce. Thank you very much. Now we can go to our next expert, Ms. Archana Mayaram. I will request Ms. Archana that please stick to time and complete your submission within 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Secretary sir. Good afternoon to both the JSs that I can see and all the other esteemed panelists and participants who've joined today. And thank you for giving me this opportunity, although I'm a part of the ministry, but you've given me this opportunity to speak as an expert here. Sir, like the Honorable PM has spoken about, repeatedly spoken about empowering our youth and encouraging them to not only find jobs, but also to be entrepreneurs. And there is a whole ecosystem of startups that has been created. So what I could sense is that we still haven't kind of mentioned about considering adding the component of skill development, which is required for operating in digital marketplaces and using e-commerce channel to reach wider market space. Because the artisans and weavers and other traditional crafts and also the upcoming products would need a wider market space. So we will, I think, need to incorporate this also into our program. Also because there is a great amount of thrust on digitization. So wherever possible, if we can have the training also in a hybrid mode. And like the PM also spoke this morning about updation of our databases. So another thing that would be, which would need to be done would be sharper labor market analysis, not only in India, but also globally, to understand or to ascertain rapidly evolving skill needs and the widening skill mismatch, and factor in the new kind of economies that are coming up, like the gig workers economy. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Snab. This gig economy is really a big opportunity for the youth, and PMKVY 4 is well aligned to address this need. Thank you for your insight. Now we can go to the next experts, Sri Reghu J. Reghu Ji, can you connect, please?
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Respected Secretary, sir, all other senior officers, and all eminent panelists. Sir, I'll just speak on the modalities of the PMKVY scheme alone, and I'll dwell on the pros and cons of the new scheme as I have felt after a reading of the scheme guidelines. Sir, the first advantage that I see in the scheme is the start of the boarding and lodging facilities. This was a long-standing demand because any kind of skill training without a residential facility was found to be less optimal in terms of the kind of training that we imparted to the students. So, I'm very happy that boarding and lodging facilities have been accounted for in the scheme. Second is, as many other panelists have also pointed out, to focus on the new age roles, which was not there in the earlier scheme, as well as the focus on the OJTs and the apprenticeships. Many other panelists have dwelled on it, so I'll not dwell much on that. The third point is regarding the age group. I'm very happy to note that 15 to 45 age group has now been notified for the scheme. Why this is very important is earlier it was 18, now it is 50. In our state, as well as in many other states, I think, there are many children who are rescued from child labor, who have dropped out of school and have not had formal school education. We have been finding it very difficult to skill them because the earlier age limit for entry into PMKVY was 18. So we were absolutely left with no other option to skill these students. Now we can skill children who are 15, 16, 17 years of age, and then they can get into non-hazardous job roles, or they can even, once the training is complete, they will also come of age to work. So that's also a very good thing that has come up in this. The final point is about the special projects. These special projects for people with disabilities, for transgenders, and other marginalized communities was earlier coming only under the Sankalp scheme. Now it has been brought under PMKVY so that it can be done on a massive scale. So may I also dwell on some of the points that I felt could have been done better. The first thing is the role of the state skill development missions. I'm not saying this because I think I'll feel jobless after the new guidelines have been notified. But sir, districts have been rightly mentioned as this fulcrum of skill development. I agree with that point. But if the state skill development missions are not given a role in actually finalizing who the training providers are, we'll miss out on many great training providers who might be very local players, but who have an important role to play in this. In the new scheme, only NSDC is being given the role of accrediting the training providers through a digital portal. But if the state skill missions are not given any role in identifying the training providers, then it might happen that in a state like Odisha, there might be other training providers from other states who are coming in, but they might not have the organizational ability or the foothold to conduct these programs in many districts. So my request is that the skill development missions, state skill development missions, may be provided an active role in finding out and in deciding who the training providers will be for particular job roles in particular states. Second thing, sir, in the scheme itself, it has been written, the spirit of the scheme, it has been written, delinking of placement from skilling to lay emphasis on empowering trained candidates to choose their career path with focus of entrepreneurship and livelihood creation. The spirit is well taken, sir. We have to delink placements from skilling. However, we have seen during the course of the implementation of PMKVY 4.0. So who are these students who are coming for training? These are mainly dropout students, dropout girls especially, who are into training because they want a job immediately. They are looking for jobs so that they can support their families, support their education of their younger siblings, or come back and support their families for their own marriage. So there are many things for which girls come for this training. So if you take away the placement component, and if there is no emphasis laid on placement, there could be a setback to the program. What I'm saying is that there should be a minimum deterrent for those training providers who are in it just for the sake of numbers. There should be a minimum deterrent. Not all training providers should be dealt with on the same scale. And there should be huge and clear incentives for providers who do great placements. For instance, in the scheme also mentions, suppose there is a captive employer who does the skilling and provides jobs to the candidates in their own factory, good jobs to the employers with EPF, ESI facility, accommodation facility, with other skilling facilities. For those kind of training providers, those kind of employers, we should give them huge incentives so that those kind of people are incentivized to come and do this training. On the other hand, we should also keep a deterrent for training providers who just do the training and go, just give us the numbers, then go away. That particular differentiation between quality training providers and the not so good training providers is not there in the scheme, which I fear will lead to everybody going down to the lowest common denominator. For instance, like sir, apparel, general duty assistant, hospitality, basic computer courses, domestic electric solutions. These are the courses where most of the students now are enrolling and where the jobs are there also. So in these kind of job roles, placement is a major component. So this is regarding the placement part, sir. And regarding this, for the boarding and lodging facilities, sir, there should be a minimum kind of differentiation. For instance, in places like Bhubaneswar, Cuttack, or in major cities, maybe metro cities, there should be a different level of boarding and training facilities given. And for places in difficult towns, I'm saying the ulta part, sir. For people who are willing to go to difficult areas, people who are going to go to left-wing extremism affected areas, people who are willing to go to KBK districts in Odisha, for instance, these people should be given a greater incentive so that they can give better boarding, lodging facilities for the students and also incentivize them to go to these kind of hard to reach areas. So these are some of my few points mentioning on the PMKVY new scheme alone. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Regu, for giving very good insights. Actually, the employability, enhancing the employability is our focus in the PMKVY, and will take several measures so that the employability skills are imparted and candidates become more employable so that they get the job. And this boarding, lodging, and the residential training is good insight from the field, so that we'll keep in mind, and we have already made the provision in our scheme. So this will be very much integral part of our PMKVY4 implementation strategy. So now we'll go to Mr. Andra Vamse, MD UP SSDM.
Sir, good morning, sir. So, morning, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir,
you are
morning,
audible.
Sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sir, most of the points were well spoken by our colleagues prior to my presentation. So I don't have much left over, but I'll make a last minute addition, sir. With respect to the PMKVY4 guidelines, sir, what Raghu said is that the state skill development mission, sir, they all feel neglected. Sir, no doubt, you'll be coordinating with the district skill development councils, but the role of SSTM has also to be defined, that with respect to the target allocation or with respect to the monitoring of that particular training partners, or to a diagnostic to do a diagnostic study of the performing training partners as well as the non-performing training partners. Second thing, sir, it's a very well taken point with respect to PMKVY4 that level 3 to level 7 job roles are being increased. But sir, may I suggest that let us take it a bit further ahead. Level 5 to level 12 are the most preferred job roles for the employment opportunities. So that is one recommendation which I do want to make on behalf of Uttar Pradesh. And sir, we are actually taking skilling data only with respect to the skilled human resource done by the government training partners or the private training partners who are empaneled with the government. But we are not at all collecting the data with respect to the skilling that is being spread across various private sectors. So many of the private players are also doing their parallel skilling activity. We don't have any control, or we don't have any monitoring, or we don't have any access to their skilling data. So majority of the human resource are also getting skilled, and we don't have knowledge of that particular skilled human resource done by, where the skilling had been done by various private players. That can be a technical education institution, or that can be a medical education institution, or that can be a pharmacy institution, or that can be various sectors and their own government training partners who are skilling those human resources. The third important point, sir, international language skilling, which we have stressed upon. I do further request for the cost metrics of that particular international language skilling, so that the model can be replicated here within the state skill development missions also. Sir, yesterday you were mentioning about a local produce and how to link it with skilling. Sir, UP had already been doing this thing with respect to one district, one product concept. So there are many districts in UP. Of the 75 districts, at least 22 are branded districts in terms of the products. So it can be brass, it can be glass, or it can be carpet. So we do have the skilling model existing for that particular set. But I think that has to be noticed is this is being done by MSME ministry individually. Neither the data is accessible to us, nor the data is accessible to the NSDC. So we just want you to convert this particular ODOP practice into the National Skill Development Council, or just align with the UP Skill Development, so that this entire data can be collated. Regarding convergence, sir, yes, sir, we had already converged all the schemes into one single platform, and things are being done by UP Skill Development Mission itself here. But now, a step ahead, we are also trying to collect the data from the private skilling centers. There are so many private skilling centers spread across various sectors of the society, and that particular data is being collected here, and we are preparing a universal dashboard. If the same can be emulated at the highest level, then we can have an exact number of the skilled human resource. One more submission, sir, with respect to the skill hubs. Sir, we want a clear-cut guideline with respect to the skill hubs. Most of our skill hubs connotation had been defined only to the schools, colleges, and education institutions. But whether that particular institutions, whoever is skilling the human resource of the pupil in that particular institution, whether there can be that particular data can be taken on board with respect to the skill development mission is one thing which we need a clarity. And last but not least, sir, some penal actions to be recommended for the underperforming training partners, because as per the existing data, so far in Uttar Pradesh, whether it can be PMKVY 2 or PMKVY 3 or PMKVY 3 COVID crash course, given a target of 1,30,000, 1,22,000 had been trained, but only 83,000 were certified. So which means that 47,000 have to be reassessed or reskilled or upskilled, and that's how they have to be taken forward. So we need a clear-cut policy with respect to the upskilling or reskilling as per the previous PMKVY data, and how to take it forward, so that this entire human resource who had invested their time with respect to skilling should not go wasted, and their reskilling or reassessment or upskilling models, we need a clear-cut guideline for that particular residue which were not yet certified. That's all from my end, sir, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Vamsi. We have given you some outline and the guiding principle of the schemes, but definitely will come out with the detailed guideline, which will include setting up skill hub and other sort of activities. Everything will be defined, where the role of different stakeholders will also be clearly defined. So a detailed guideline will be notified shortly. So, but in my previous presentation, I have given a brief outline that these are the basically guiding principle of these schemes. Thank you very much for your insight. Now we can go to Sri Vijay Kumar, COIESC. Vijay Kumar ji.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk on behalf of IESC. I know we are running out of time very quickly, so I'll keep my point very focused. So just give a perspective on where we stand on IESC and how the current scheme, how we can work with this current scheme to make it effective. So the basic situation here today, sir, is we are supporting, our equipment are supporting flagship projects like the National Infrastructure Pipeline. And our equipment are 5 different types and 40 unique types of equipment which go into all aspects of infrastructure building. Now, today we have a situation where every year 100,000 equipment, 1 lakh equipment are manufactured and rolled out into the field. And if you take the cumulative of the last 5 years, 5 lakh equipment are out there in the field. And today we have a situation where there is no requirement of a mandatory certification for these operators. We are pushing our customers to get their operators skilled, upskilled, reskilled, and certified by us because of the productivity gains that they would get, completion of projects on time, better quality finishes in the project. So today, this is the opportunity that we have 500,000 equipment in the field, each requiring at least 2 operators. And most of these equipment are maintained by the OEMs. So we have an opportunity to upskill these operators because the technology in this equipment has rapidly changed over the last 2 or 3 years with the inclusion of telematics, with the inclusion of onboard computers. So the performance of the machine can be better tracked. So when we talk about the operators and the technicians on these machines, which are our 2 major job roles, if we can give these inputs to these operators and technicians, we'll have 2 benefits. One is, of course, the projects will be executed better on time. And also there is a cost advantage because fuel is a big component of the cost. So our submission here now, sir, is if we were to upskill these operators out in the field, then the OEMs will have to take up a major role and execute this program. And we're talking about operators working on live projects. So the project duration, the upskilling duration should be limited to a handleable measure so that the projects don't get scheduled, don't get derailed. That's number one. And also the system in which the OEM delivers the project would have to be very different from the way a private training partner would deliver. Some of the things I'm talking about are a number of hours of training that can be delivered has to be defined to a shorter interval so that project timelines are not upset. Also, the way the project is monitored, etc., because some of the things like Aadhaar-based attendance at a project site may become a bit of a challenge, and also maybe a challenge because they're OEMs and they have their own systems and processes in place. So I would humbly request that if we are to capitalize on this advantage of 500,000 people, or rather 500,000 machines times 2, and we can get the OEMs on board to work with us and upskill these operators so that we get quantitative benefits in terms of performance of the machine and also timely completion of the project. So that is the first part of it. Apart from the RPL, the OEMs are also running programs through their CSRs on the STT programs, etc. Of course, the challenges that were mentioned earlier are much higher when it comes to us because you need basically to run a program on infrastructure equipment, you need a piece of equipment. And the average price is anything between 25 to 60 lakhs for this. So it's always a challenge to kind of, mushroom these training institutions across the country, though that has been our attempt with the help of OEM donations of used machines or reconditioned machines so that we can work and spread our wings across the country. So these are 2 primary points I made. Of course, there are other points too, but I will hold it back because I think we are short of time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar. This upskilling has always been a challenge because taking the worker from out of the workplace is a big issue. So, but we have to find out an innovative way how we can upskill them without disturbing the workplace. So, you have given very good insight, and thank you very much for your suggestion. Now we can go to Shri Krishan Kumar. He is the CEO, Handicraft and Carpet Sector Skill Council. Mr. Kumar.
Namaskar. Thank you for this opportunity to make our points and suggestions for handicraft and carpet sector, sir. So, if we talk about the handicraft and carpet sector, sir, this sector is second largest sector, which includes the traditional and heritage of the country, and which play very significant and important role in rural economy of the country, sir. So if we talk about the size of our sector, in our sector, it's an export-oriented sector, sir, handicraft and carpet sector, and most of the industry, they are MSME industry. So we talk about the last year export from India in terms of handicraft, which was 33,000 33,000 crore and 13 crore for carpet and handicraft respectively, sir. So we have covered through various points during this webinar, sir, already. But we have some suggestions and some submission for our sector, sir. First of all, sir, the skill gap and skill demand required trainings needs to be conducted in the clusters and in the small and medium cluster in all districts. For the same, council is working with very closely with the MGNF and DSCs to get the actual need of the clusters in terms of, so that we can plan the training program according to the local cluster and local district level, so that they can get benefit out of the training programs under PMKVY 4.0, sir. And in under PMKVY 4, it is already mentioned that more focus would be on the industry-based training program and the cluster and artisan-based training, sir. The second would be, sir, there will be there are requirement for RPL upskilling program with the bridge modules, because our artisans and our weavers, they are domain trained. We need to upskill them to compete with the international markets, sir, and international standards. For the same, council is working very closely with those artisan groups and in the cluster, and we are conducting some workshops in terms of designs, innovations, and technology upgradation, and there are more requirements in the same field, sir. The next is would be, sir, the special projects. So there are requirements to implement some special project under PMKVY program to preserve the dying craft of countries. Council recently completed, with the approval from your side, sir, completed a NAMDA project from the Srinagar, where we got more than 50% fund from the industry also. We involved industry to contribute from their side, and we have set up we have implemented a project to revive the dying craft of Srinagar, which is Namda, and we have successfully completed that project. So there are a lot of more requirements in terms of these projects, special projects, sir, to revive the dying craft of India, sir, traditional. The second would be, sir, if you talk about the skill education in the schools, so there are concepts that we can introduce the handicraft job roles as a hobby course in the schools, and we can set up the skill shala also in the school, sir, and setting up the traditional heritage center of excellence in the major cluster, so that we can give benefit to the artisan and the small industry members, so that they can get the trained work for trained and skilled people for the manufacturing in the handicraft and carpet sector, sir. Again would be the pool of trainers, sir. As our sector is export oriented, then there is a requirement of international SMEs, international designs, so that we need to create, as our sector is unorganized, there is no formal way of training of trainer, training of master trainer status, sir. So we need to create a pool of master and trainers, so that they can teach the artisan and they can implement the training RPL and other programs on the standard of international benchmarking, sir. The next would be, sir, industry-based training within the industry premises and within the industry clusters. So there are some requirements, so that because our sector is MSME, and the most of the artisans, they are working in their homes and they are working in the clusters. So we need to implement training programs within their clusters, so that they can get benefits, sir. Apart from that, there are some need of workshops to be conducted for the artisans, for the groups on the entrepreneurship skills, so that we can promote them to become entrepreneurs, and to self-employment, on the designs, on the digital literacy and the marketing, because our sector is export oriented, so they can get the access to the international market, and they can start selling their products accordingly. For the same, council has signed MOU with various e-commerce platform like Flipkart, and day before yesterday we sign his MOU with the Able House, which is again an e-commerce platform, and they only deal with the handicraft products. And the last not the least, sir, there is a request for the stipend provision under PMKVY 4 scheme for the artisan to increase the participation of the artisan, because they are very poor people. They are working in the cluster, sir, and they are working on a daily basis or maybe a piece rate of work they are working. So if we provide them the stipend, so we can increase the participation of the artisan and clusters and industries, sir. So these are the submission from my side, sir. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity once again, sir.
Thank you very much for your suggestion and recommendation. Particularly, this skill sala is a very interesting concept you have put forward. So I will see that how these things can be implemented, can be incorporated in the implementation process. Thank you very much. So now we'll go to Professor Mukti Khan Misra, founder of the Centurion University. So Misra ji, I will request you to give your thoughts, recommendations, suggestion, and insights.
Namaskar, sir. Good day to all honorable panelists and participants, especially to Secretary, sir. Thank you very much for getting me involved. At the outset, I would like to express my deep sense of gratitude for such a well-organized, meaningful, appropriate, and relevant dialogue, deliberation, and discussion. This is fabulous, fantastic. And I know I will not. Because I will specific to be about skill universities. Because that's something which I feel that HEIs, higher education institutions, universities, especially skill universities, must play a pivotal role in certain skilling system which has been missing. And that is unless and until we involve these institutions, especially universities, their aspiration to the skilling system will not come. This has been my take from 2006 when we started skilling. And since we operate mostly in tribal and also LW areas, and because of that kind of engagement, involvement, and probably Secretary Sir knows, and you also know that we have now Australian Aborigines have come to Centurion for training, and we are hosting them in the campus for long-term training. For the first time, that instead of going international, sending our students, trained students to international, which we do in a very minor scale, but we are now getting international students to be skilled in Centurion. That's how our take is very different. When also people say that training centers should be established in the industry, we say the industry should be established in the training center. So it should be production centers. And PMKVY should take these two things, how to engage, involve skill universities, which is not there specifically, and how do we encourage the training centers to have production centers, whatever the equipments are there, how do they have the market linkage production. Then the skill universities should be permitted to affiliate or should be given permission to affiliate PMKKs for skill courses, conduct competency assessments and award certificates. So my suggestions will be specifically about the skill universities and universities who are interested to get into the skilling ecosystem by creating a school of vocational education or creating a skill vertical. Short-term skilling certification to translate into credits, which can be accumulated towards ITI certification, diplomas, and degrees. So we, unless until we do that certification with a numeric value to that, which of course NCVT is working on that, but how do we get the trainees who are being trained under this scheme to also have a numeric value attached to that, and they can use that for ultimately getting through the Flexi MOU, ITI, or diploma, or DVOC, BVOC, how to ultimately that is used for getting a certificate. So that's very important for me, and I think that I should suggest that. And flexible learning paths, whether it is US or Australia or in Canada, where people work and they go and they're 2 hours course, 3 hours course, they get and at the end they get a certificate. Here we are saying that 2 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever that restriction we are putting in, and we are again saying that one size fits all. Suppose somebody is working and wants to be enrolled or take the benefit of PMKVY. How do we do that? Existing employees, how they can become part of this scheme, which as far I have read, there is no process and or provisions for that. And the next is that how do we get the employment in an unorganized sector is accounted for. Suppose we train many people in the tribal and LW ex-Australia LW areas. Now it is called aspirational districts, which we have many students from there, and they go and work in unorganized sector. How do you capture that? How do you say that okay, this also will count as an employment? Like people have suggested about the entrepreneurship, startups, like this. We open up and extend that people getting trained and getting into various segments. So creating a choice. Basically, skilling should creating a choice instead of being regimented. And integrating modularized skill courses and as per the NOS, of course, into the regular UG program. And that what I'm saying this, which I've been talking about, that from the beginning of the scheme, that every learning should ultimately lead to adding to the ultimate degree. Because India as a country, unlike other places, we are still degree obsessed. We still value a degree. So how do we get that? And involving skill universities or universities interested in skill. And the most other, I've been also suggesting the skill voucher scheme for reimbursing the cost of training and certification at skill universities. Somebody said that, okay, sir, I cannot do now. You give me a credit, whether DBT or whatever, not in the money term, but I can go and give it to a skill university and they can encash it when I complete the training. I don't know if you ask me that, okay, how do you do that? I have no idea. But this has been done, and we can think about the skill voucher schemes. There are many states have done on voucher schemes, which we can think about this as part of that. I'm not saying that entire scheme, but there should be a provision to have a dialogue and with immediate effect and on the rolling basis, that how do we bring in this kind of avenues on choices into the scheme. Then skill universities to be empowered for demand aggregation by engaging with the industry bodies or industry clusters. So that, there are like 14 skill universities now, or 15 now. So suppose we say that each state will have a skill university. They should play a more or better role in collaboration with the ministry and NCBT and NSDC, because they can become what I call that state hubs. Of course, you can say that we have government everything to do, but the universities have resources. They have the people, they have the interns, they have a lot of students. How do we leverage on that to be the, I'm not saying about the LMS, but there should be about the demand aggregation of the entire state or at the region, wherever they are given and geographical location. So that should be considered. Some people have said that we don't have that, demand from the industry. So the skill universities can play on the role because they have the students, MBA or BBA, whatever student they have. So the assessment and creditization on the job learning through assessment certification by the skill universities. These are my suggestions. So somebody can say you are selfish, you are talking on the basis of skill universities. Of course, I will be talking on basis of that. But these are the resources available which can be utilized. Then the other point which I would like to say, component of the lifelong learning, RPL and multiple entry, multiple exit for the professional development, whichever we are talking about, skill universities can keep it, like we do for students credits. We can also keep a tab of all the credits, and ultimately we can give a certification. And the establishing the equivalence and mobility between vocational regular education, we can start with the skill universities or universities with interest in the skilling ecosystem. What I'm saying, all these points, how do we leverage the learning, the experience, the expertise which the skill universities have? That's what my focus is on. And skill universities can provide. Also, as per the scheme, can we also do that? Can you think about this? Creating an action research grant for creating market-driven curriculum and content, and become also the center for training the trainers. We build the capacity of the skill universities because they will have residential facility. They will have the academics with requisite qualification. Why don't we, instead of reinventing wheels, why can't we just engage with them? We are creating IICs. I will recommend that, under PMKVY, we build the capacity of 1, 2. Let it be a scheme. Let people compete. Let people come up, so that we establish ISCs or India International Skill Centers through these universities, who not only will train students for the international market, but also will train international students for their market. So we have now 600 students from Africa. We are training for Africa market. But we are doing it our own way. But that, if that can be channelized, the university puts a seal to that, the ministry supports it. That will be fabulous thing. The other thing, sir, before I close this, sector skill council should have a due diligence of all the skill universities. They should come back to you with a proposal with the universities with whom they can partner. And that's how, because they are part of the ecosystem. That engagement of SSCs and the skill universities are very remote and rare. I know some people are doing fabulous. I'm not contesting that. But as we had all these SSCs, CEOs visiting us way back in 2016. After that, there has been zero engagement and interaction from any SSCs, even though we have tried to reach out. So what I'm telling, that there is a gap, and to make the PMKVY 4 or reimagining this PMKVY 4.0, when we are reimagining now Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0, We have already started process within Centurion system that how we go into Industry 5.0. So how do we get SSCs to be part of that? Because ministry is very limited in its resource, but SSCs are there and NSDC is there. So engagement with the skill universities are non-existent as of now. So first time you conducted, the Secretary Sir and the Honorable Minister, they conducted a meeting with the skill universities. The minutes of the meeting came out, but we want more of deliberation on that. How do we leverage on skill universities to make this PMKVY 4 more successful? Let this skill university not to do the training program, but they can be a partner in monitoring, enhancing the capacity, adding to the competencies, all these processes, so that improving the process, these universities or institutions can play their role. So that's what my submission, sir. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Professor Misra, and you rightly put forward the idea that skill universities have a big role to play, and in our entire scheme of implementation, skill universities will have a very big role and in the skilling ecosystem. And you have given the idea about the skill voucher and lifelong learning, credit transfer. These are the very good ideas. A lot of works are happening, and we'll definitely engage with you for further discussion and how we can take it forward. Thank you very much for your insight. Now we can go to Dr. Madan Mohan Tripathi, Director General, NILET. Shri Tripathi.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So good afternoon, and thanks for giving the opportunity to me. Special thanks to Secretary Shatu Tiwari ji and Joint Secretary C.K. Tiwari ji. As far as NILET is concerned, we are doing the focused skilling in IT and electronics or in digital skills. With a vast network of 47 own centers across the country, especially 22 are in Northeast, spread out in the 8 states, and Jammu, Kashmir, Leh, and Kargil. And also we have more than 700 accredited centers who are private training partners and 5,000 facilitation centers. In addition to this physical infrastructure, we have also enabled technology for skilling in new age courses. We have a virtual academy which can support 1 lakh students at a time, and with our own learning management system, support of virtual labs to cater to the need of students to provide training either in virtual mode or in hybrid mode at our centers. We have done some experimentation of how the emerging courses can be delivered using technology. And recent example is the Smart Hardware Lab. Yesterday, our ministry, Honorable Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, he has announced this publicly. This is facility where 200 set of facility has been created, which can be accessed by participants across the country in virtual mode, and all kind of prototyping of electronic hardware can be done, and the practical and experiments can be performed. Similarly, we have our cyber security and cyber forensic programs completely available on the virtual platform with all virtual labs, all the scenarios, which is being used across the country to deliver these high-end courses to the participants. And the contents are dynamic in nature with live streaming, online lectures, and analytics services. So this is NILET's experience with the technology-enabled skilling. And we are providing training in all the emerging technologies, maybe the future skills like artificial intelligence, cyber security, 3D printing and manufacturing, robotic process automation, blockchain, IoT, 5G, cloud computing, data science, web technologies, full stack development, chip design, and electronic manufacturing. And all these programs of NILET are basically industry driven. We have MOUs with different industry like IBM, Microsoft, Wipro, where the curriculum is completely designed or co-created with industry. and then it is delivered through our own faculty across the centers and also through virtual platform. The curriculum has the on-job training and employability skills a part of it, and all the programs are aligned with NSQF from level 2 to level 7. Some of our programs are also recognized in different countries like Japan, Taiwan, Korea, and Singapore. And the job roles from are mapped with those countries also. As far as the cross utilization of resources and infrastructure, we are working in the Skill Hub project, where we are sharing our infrastructure, our faculty, and content also. In this league, recently we started integrating our program with the school education and the university education also, and many of the partners are and experts are feeling that the skilling should be starting from the school itself. So NILET has integrated its program with various school boards, the skilling programs, and right now we are working to integrate our programs with the higher education institutions also. We are the NCVT approved and awarding and assessment body onboarded on Skill India portal, and NILET is returning to all the common norms. So that way, we are also working towards convergence of different skilling schemes, and we have MOU with different sector skill councils also. As far as the PMKVY 4 is there, NILET is ready to collaborate with the central and state government agencies and leverage our existing infrastructure for delivery of various training programs, especially in the emerging technologies. We are also ready to design new programs in the emerging technologies. And NILET can also provide the training of trainers for ITIs and other training partners. As far as the recognition of prior learning, by identifying individuals engaged in unregulated sectors, NILET can provide the industry relevant skill certification to them as a recognition of the prior learning. The special projects can also be implemented by NILET, as we have been implementing many projects. Especially I would like to mention a project for Northeast. We are doing around training of 1.66 lakh people in 2 years, which covers every segment of the society. So depending upon the needs, where more flexibility and deviations are required, we can provide the short-term training depending upon the special needs of specific demographies, geographies, and the social groups. NILET can strengthen the assessment and certification process of PMKVY 4 by leveraging our own expertise of assessment. And we can also provide a reach through our centers, which are available in physical form as well as through our virtual education system. As far as challenges, what I see, the mobilization of a student is one of the challenge. Finding suitable training partner in some of the areas is another challenge for implementation of this project. As far as placement is related, I think place and train model of ESDM project can be a good way to implement the this project. And one important thing is that if industry can recognize the NSQF certifications for employment, maybe the employment opportunity can be increased in this project. And recognition by MSME sector will again play important role, because they are looking for a lot of skilled manpower and they really need skilled manpower. So if you can integrate this project with MSME requirement, that will be a nice idea to implement the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tripathi. NILET has been our partner in implementation of PMKVY 3 as well. So we'll look forward working with you in this sector. Now our last expert is Dr. M. Jayaprakashan. So Dr. Jayaprakashan, I will request you to be brief and put forward your idea on the PMKVY 4 implementation strategy and how it can be made more effective. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Secretary, sir, and also Joint Secretary Divedi, sir, and the panel members. It's a great opportunity to participate in this PMKV webinar. As Tamil Nadu is pioneering the skill development activities, what are the highlights of the PMKVY 4? We are already piloting in the Tamil Nadu Skill Development Corporation. So some of the things is, well, the idea was very well emphasized, and now the implementation part is the critical. So I'd like to highlight some of the suggestions and also the way forward for this implementation of this PMKVY 4. So one is the importance to be given to the State Skill Development Entrepreneurs Committee. As we know, the state and as well as the Government of India is operating as the individual entity in various skilling initiatives. The Government of India Minister of Skill Development in 28 March 22 taken a historic decision to break the silos and as well as the decentralization of many processes. It's constituted a State Skill Development and the Entrepreneur Committee to empower to work the state and central together with the chairmanship of the Principal Secretary of the state as well as the members from the State Skill Development Mission, RDSC and NSDC and JSS and NISPER. This committee, now we have to make it very proactive and the committee to track this type of all the skilling activities in the state, which will make this PMKV very well next level to make it a success. Second thing, Tamil Nadu, the skilling is to reach the ground level, that is a rural level or a village level. We operate a community schools, skill schools. Community schools, this is the voice of the rural community. And we operate from the local skilled expertise available with minimum infrastructure. We are breaking the classroom. Wherever a small shop or something is there, where the local people who requires a skill, we are identifying with the local industrial expertise we are training, like the courses like mason or a bar bending or a plumbing or an electrician or welding or two-wheeler mechanic, home appliance or mobile repair. Now we want to expand these community schools to improve the employability of the rural youth, especially women, including the school dropouts, semi-skilled and unskilled workers. The local trainers will be incentives and also to be recognized as a part of the recognition of superior learning scheme, nothing. The most important thing now we are talking about the skill up in the educational institute, which is a very really wonderful thing, but we have to focus on factory skill schools. Along with the in the community skill schools and the existing apprenticeship program, the factory skill school will be set up to promote the training using the existing infrastructure in industries. So we can emphasize the factories and the MSMEs to provide the on-job training of the youth using the infrastructure in the establishment itself. Alternatively, the factory and the industry can earmark specific infrastructure like equipment or machinery available with them for training and youth to be trained in these factories and jointly certified. We can, even the Tamil Nadu Skill Development Corporation is ready to bear the cost of the training of the students and the establishment. So large industries and MSME can be partnering to these initiatives. The factories will be empaneled after inspection or recommendation by the district skill committee. This is one of the suggestions. And skill of the educational institutions. This is one of the things where skilling should be for all. And we have to upgrade our faculties also, and we have to make incentives of the faculty. Because why the faculties are demoralized, why we have to do this additional work or how to use it. So the faculty in the engineering college or the polytechnic or the ITI to be allowed for a faculty development program with an assessment with across the educational institution to create a trained pool of faculties. Again, as rightly said, the skill ups, the engineering college or the polytechnic or ITI or the schools, the facilities are underutilized as mentioned by the various panel experts. So we use the evening or weekend for upskilling or reskilling by additional value added course. One of the constraints I am facing here is we talk about the implementation of the industrial 4.0 like AI or artificial intelligence or machine language or robotics or AR, VR. Main part, this technology requires a proper internet connectivity. This is the major.
Dr. Jayaprakashan, can you just wind up? Please, can you expedite and wind up, please?
Yeah, 2 minutes. So this, we have to provide a proper internet connectivity to implement this new age course. We have the BharatNet. The BharatNet can be used for connectivity for the all these training institutes to provide this type of implementation of VR course. And mostly the skilling is for by the industry and for the industry. But at present, government is funding and promoting the skilling. So we have to allow the industry to be, it should be an industry-driven thing. Some of the support we require from the industry or SSCs on board the industry or industry association, MSM as a training partners and support in creation of this industrial training hub or the center of excellence or engaging the cross engagements of the faculty training in industry or the industry experts in the thing, and also the allocation of CSR funds for skill development for increased focus on this, and also collaborate this R&D activities like a production center or something, and the support for this internship and apprenticeship. Some other things in PMKVY I come last, where we introduced the DST, the dual system of training in the ITIs, where we made OJT as a part of the system. But we have to make this OJT also inside this PMKVY, where we have to enable the funding for the support for the industries and the internship for the polytechnic or engineering or schools or ITIs or even the art science college, where we can bring under this PMKVY so that it can be there. And most importantly, at present, NSKF curriculum is the part of the PMKVY. We can get this non-NSKF curriculum as per the demand of the industries, which is recommended by the State Skill Development Committee can be considered PMV. And as I told, one of the area where at present the PMKV 500 rupees only we are paying, the students are not getting, most of the training partners are pulling the students. Instead of that, we can encourage the students by giving some TADA for the students. At least in Tamil Nadu Skill Development, we are giving some 100 rupees per day for the students, which attracts more. So these were small suggestions. Thank you for this opportunity given to me, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jayaprakashan, and the best practices and the initiative were taken in Tamil Nadu will be good insight for us to fine-tune our implementation process. So now we come to the end of this session. As due to paucity of time, we are not going for the question answer session because.
But if anybody has any.
One person, if you have any question to any panelist or to secretary, sir. So one question we can take. Anyone from the participants? No, thank you very much. So we have come to the end of this session, and we have discussed in detail about whole spectrum of the skill ecosystem, and your recommendations, suggestions, insights. Will compile it and will make a presentation before the Honorable Minister at 3:30. Before we close this session, I will request Sri Atul Kumar Tiwari, Secretary MST, to give his closing remark and guide us that how we can take next course of action. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dwivedi ji, and I thank all the panelists and the participants in the discussion for their valuable comments. I will first focus on what Mr. Ranganath said. And sir, we are working. There are two major drivers which have led to the reimagination of the skilling. One is the national education policy, wherein education and skilling are brought closure. Second thing is that there is a sea change in the use of technology, particularly after COVID. So if you're seeing PMKVY 4.0, you also have to see it along with what are the changes which are being proposed to bring skilling and education closer by the National Credit Framework, by the National Credit Curriculum Development, National Digital University, State Student Registry, and the Skill India Digital as well. And if you go into that, you'll find that there is going to be citizen-centric processes, and there is going to be a big emphasis on vocational education from class 6 onwards, not only class 7 as you recommended, but from class 6 onwards, wherein from class 6 to 8 there will be world of work, and from 9, 10, 11, 12, the vocational subjects will be also be offered as part of the main curriculum, not something like extra or optional. Second thing I would like to say is that there has been a great amount of convergence which has taken place. And this also points to what Mr. Bhutia said. I will come to your point also again. And we do not use, there is no provision in the PMKVYs to use our scheme money for infrastructure either. And as you said, we are trying to work on the unutilized capacities of the education institutions. And like Dr. Anju Sharma said, we also have to utilize the industry associations as the skill hub and skill clusters. Like Professor Misra said, to also make use of the skill universities as part of the training providers or some assessment centers or certification center, as the case may be, depending upon their use. That is also a very, very important point. Another very important point which has been said is that we need to look into the infrastructure requirement, like what Mrs. Sharma was saying about the COPA lab. Certainly, ma'am, we'll have a look into that and improve and make it more relevant to the common time as well. And taking it from certificate to diploma, I wish just by doing that things would improve, but I would recommend that many state governments, at least 4 of them, have allowed IIT pass outs to enter into higher education without any other examinations. So similar thing can also happen in your state, or maybe it would have already been there. We are also working for making the state education board as also the certifying agencies, assessment agencies for the vocational education, which will be imparted as part and parcel of the school education. So that is also we are working. One idea Mrs. Anita Rajan gave, which was very important, is to bring entrepreneurship also as part of the skilling. Many other speakers have also said it. So Mr. Dwivedi and we in the ministry will certainly look into that insofar as skilled people are concerned, and since we are also the entrepreneurship ministry, how we can bring those together. I'd like to thank particularly Sri Vijay Singh Dahiya ji for giving very specific, to the point, and very, very relevant suggestions, and especially about the RFP for the job roles which are not picked up by the SSCs and the local people by out of habit, but actually there may be a certain need for those things. So we are already doing it, Dahiya sir, and Dr. Dwivedi and us will also look into that. Second thing you said that about the entrepreneurship, that is the idea which was given by Mrs. Rajan as well. Certainly we can look for the entrepreneurship part as well and try to bring some amount of convergence there as well. Your project approach of longer duration, Mr. Dahiya, you make such proposals, and we'll also have one window for these kind of proposals as well. The visibility point of view, I would say that some of the state governments are quite dynamic, like your state, where you are going for Mukhyamantri Kaushal Mitra Fellowship Program. Probably there are certain such fellows also around there, and the Kaushal Mitra has it has its lineage in the banking mitras and other things, and it has worked quite well. We'd also like to see your example and then take a view on that. You have also said about the cross-utilization of resources in industrial clusters. You please recommend all that. Recommendation will come what Dr. JP said, that we have the SSDEC is there. The point which was made by Mr. Regu, that the state government should have more say. Mr. Regu, you bring all these matters into the state secretary level meeting as well. Recommend that you want this kind of special projects, you want this kind of cross-utilization of resources, you would like to work with the skill university in certain manner, and we'll certainly consider them with great amount of seriousness. And Mr. Anand Bali is always very, very encouraging to us, and we'll have a look at the cost suggestion of the cost norms, which you have said, which you recommended that should be the job role wise. Mr. Bhutia gave good suggestions, and in fact, we need to work with his ministry in terms of using his interactions and proximity with the Gram Panchayat system in terms of proper data requirement. Under Antyodaya, where I worked in rural development earlier, Mr. Bhutia, so we have the Antyodaya data is already there. So next time when we go for the Antyodaya formation of data, we'll add 1 or 2 points on that as well, so that we have some locus on the skill requirement as well as the skilling centers there. We also are willing to work with you in terms of entrepreneurship to the NRLM. People are there, and DDGK, if they want to come there, let's join hands there. We also want to ensure that the assessment and certifications, everything will be done in the Skill India portal this time. For your kind information, under the NCVT, other than SSC, many other agencies are also made as awarding and assessing bodies, and we'll certainly update it from time to time. Initially, we just now will update it, and then we'll keep on updating it again and again. And we also require Ministry of Rural Development's help and support in tracking to improve as well. We are under the Skill India PMKVY, there are certain changes have been brought so that we do not have problems which we used to have earlier. We have the ABAS system is there. We are bringing all this fingerprint system also there. If necessary, we will also have the recording of the training also. The Skill India portal is also going to be linked with the education system, where the student registry will be same. And as some of you had pointed out, that there should be a gradual progression. Professor Kamakoti, which he has given in his comment, that there should be a entry and re-entry in the education or skill. He gave an example of one school kid who goes for the motor vehicle thing, and later he wants to upgrade and get into the EV, but he or she doesn't have the proper education qualification. Professor Kamakoti sir, you were instrumental in popularizing the National Credit Framework, and it was on the IIT Madras itself. And these are the issues which we need to grapple with, because the framework, what kind of numerical value, what Professor Misra was saying, has already been arrived at, and we need to make it operational so that any child of ours country, he or she can go for the education, go for the skilling, go for the employment, multiple entry, multiple exit, at the same time totaling their credits on the credit framework, so that they have the both options of going for higher education or higher skilling or reskilling or upskilling kind of thing. Reguji, you have said a very important point about the delinking of placement. Sir, we have not delinked the placement entirely. In fact, as you said, and what Mr. Bhutia was saying, we are going for tracking with the use of technology, and also through our people. We are also trying to have some incentive to the providers when they lead us to the employment. So incentivizing this would work much better than what we used to do earlier, linking into the last installment. That also has the blessings of our Honorable Minister. And under his, he is very clear-eyed and very focused on the actual working of the scheme. And we have learned quite a lot from his guidance and instructions. We'll certainly have the minimum deterrent system also will be there. Boarding and lodging, we need to rework on it. Certainly we'll look at that. Mr. Andhra Vamsi, he gave good suggestions about the skilling, etc., and the private providers, and on the need for international language and level 5, etc. We'll engage with more with you on this, Andhra Vamsi ji. Mr. Vijay Kumar, he gave a good suggestion about the special upskilling of the infrastructure machine operators through the OEM, etc. We'll work it. And Krishan Kumar ji, handicraft and carpet, he also gave a suggestion how do we link it with this. Now, as Honorable Prime Minister in his speech said about the PM Vikas, in that sense, your sector skill council, handicraft and carpenter becomes very, very crucial for us. And we are working with the Ministry of MSME so that we are able to work to the benefit of these artisans. We'll offer all the skilling job roles which we have. We'll also offer the kind of entrepreneurship training which we can give, so that the vision of Honorable Prime Minister and the budget about the this Vishwakarma Yojana is fulfilled. Professor Mukti Mishra sir, you have been our old stakeholder, and we appreciate whatever the view which you have given. One point which you have made, how to engage the skill universities, sir. Skill universities are being considered for giving targets or being involved in the actual rolling out of the PMKVY schemes, depending upon their capacity, and so far as that matches with the requirement of the job roles in that area. We also have the flexible learning paths. Also, we have great system I have already talked about. Skill voucher, we have to take a step now, and the skill voucher system is studying it further. And I can't see any reason why it should not be done there, but we'll first study it and then see how we can go together. Certainly, we'll like the skill universities to help us in collecting the demand and interlocking with the industries, and also, most importantly, using their resources for training of the trainers. And we'll welcome more engagements with all the skill universities, and Dr. Dwivedi and his team are constantly in touch with them on this part as well. And we consider skill universities as our partner under the able leadership of our Honorable Minister. We had a meeting. We had a small group, working groups also 3. We have submitted a report, and very soon, and we have conveyed all this to the Urban University Grant Commission. And the chairman of UGC is also quite favorable to this. Will resolve some of the issues relating to the skill university. I'm sure not all of them, but most of the issues we'll try to resolve whenever the Honorable Minister has find it convenient to discuss this with us, higher education and UGC. Dr. Tripathi the NILIT has always been a great supporter to us, and we'll interact with NILIT again and to see what kind of synergies which can develop with the PMKVY in terms of their reach, in terms of their assessment support, in terms of mobilizing, and in terms of higher certification, etc. We'll look into that. And Dr. JP, non-NSQ courses, etc. we are willing. So now that you are in Tamil Nadu, we have exported you to Tamil Nadu from skill development. So make a project, things inside out. I think under your leadership, we should be able to work more closely with the ITI system. We should work closely with the education system, and whatever the new breakthroughs the non-Mudal one is doing, please let us know so that we can try to replicate it elsewhere in the country as well. And if there is any such mechanism to be made under the PMKVY 4.0, we'll certainly, if they are found good, if they are leading us to good skilling, if they are leading to the good employment outcome, etc., certainly we'll consider that. So with that, I would like to thank once again all the participants and panelists, right from the panelists and the participants, each one of you, for taking your time off and to be with us today. And we'll continue to engage with you in our during course of implementation as well. This is not the final one. And we very much value your commitments and your suggestions. And I seek all, through you, all the other stakeholders, whether they are in the government of India, like Mr. Bhutia and other departments, or NILIT, or they are in the state governments like Anju Sharma and Regu or Dr. JP, or require the sector skill councils who are there today, Mr. Krishnan and Mr. Bali and Mr. Vijay Kumar, all the institutions like which, an industry and institution like what we have from Mr. Ranganath and others, and we require the support of everyone considered. And we have a tough task ahead. They are full of challenges. And as Prime Minister said, that we have to reimagine ourselves and go to a system whereby the skill and education are brought together. They are reimagined, use of technology is there, so that we are able to work for the Amrit Kal, which Honorable Prime Minister has shown us the way to. So thank you once again. Namaskaram. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
अच्छा इसमें है, कर दो अब अपना ऑडियो वीडियो बंद कर दो।
ठीक है सर, कर रहा हूँ सर, एक मिनट।
बस फर्स्ट क्लास
सेशन 1 लूप बन रहा है।